everyone, it's been quite a while since we've done a video like this, but it will be mainly based on Cueist that we're going to be talking about today as well. I do feel like for this video it'll be more of a filler video for today too, but Cueist just got released. I have seen some speculation, circulations, and you know, opinions or rumors about him as well, so I kind of want to put a piece of my opinion into this pile as well. But we'll mainly be talking about Cueist, who has just been released on test server 2. So we will branch out a few different topics, but the first one, what I would probably like to say is just his difficulty overall as a hunter. I feel like for Cueist, he's, you know, on the verge of, he's not as hard as Mad Eyes, but he isn't that hard compared to Dreamwitch. I feel like him and Dreamwitch has around the same hardness level, hardness difficulty. And like, you can also say probably Ivy is easier to play compared to a Cueist too. So I just feel like from the side of, you know, people saying, hey, he's really strong because he has so many abilities and he can reduce life machines. In one sense, what I will say is, yes, you're not wrong, but it's very similar to Mad Eye situation, where it's kind of like Mad Eye is the hardest hunter we know, but the reason why he's not OP is because there's not a lot of people that can play him. It's like very limited. Probably maybe 0.5% of each server has a really good Mad Eyes mains, right? And they, you know, they still lose up against professional survivors or even just ranked survivors in general as well. So like, that's kind of my point of view. He's probably very similar to Dreamwitch well, also take this with a grain of salt, probably will receive some nerfs too, depending on how he comes out when he's not in test server anymore. But like, overall, what I will probably say is, you know what, if you can play him well, then great. I do think you deserve it, because his mastery is going to be pretty hard. But is he harder than a Dreamwitch? Probably not. From my opinion, he's either the same level of difficulty as Dreamwitch, or maybe just slightly below Dreamwitch, but easier than Ivy is probably what I would say. Because like, if you think about the current rankings of difficulty when it comes to Hunter, Mad Eyes 100% comes first when it comes to using him at full capabilities, then comes Dreamwitch with the control, and then comes Ivy. That's probably where we are at currently with the difficulties of the top 3. For now, Cueist stands out to me between Ivy and Dreamwitch. I think like just between those 2 points, that's where he actually is. So like, if you can play him well, then I do think great. But like, this also joins in with our second topic as well, which is his ability to snowball his early game and just his power creep overall. For those of you that are new, snowballing is just basically how strong a hunter gets as the game goes on, or even as he gets more presence. That's what snowballing is in a nutshell. For me, in general, I think everyone agrees online as well, all the netizens, that he does need insolence regardless of what happens. We do know that he has 4 abilities initially early game, very similar to Peddler having 4 abilities as well, but Peddler isn't OP because she's still hard to play and her hitbox is still pretty wonky as well. And you can counter her too, to be fair, on that side note as well. But like, if you look at Cueist right now, he initially starts with 3 cue balls, so he has 3 cue balls initially, and then he slowly stacks them up every, I think, 10 seconds, 8 to 12 seconds, it's between that range. You need a total of 3 balls to make a confined zone, but you only need 2 balls to make a pathway to get into the pathway and to catch up towards a survivor. That's what I'll say. So realistically speaking, he has like a 20 odd second cooldown for his chase ability. You know, if you think about it, not really the best. It's not really the best if you compare it to, you know, the likes of oh well, we can't really compare him to Opera, but like, you know, maybe to who? To Geisha, compared to Naya, compared to Anne. It just seems like these hunters have higher chase capabilities compared to, you know, our hunter Cueist instead. Definitely speaking, Cueist is a slow moving hunter that we agree initially early game, but like very similar to Goldman as well, as the game passes around 30 to 40 second mark, he will have enough items to catch up and maybe land a hit on towards a survivor and get a blink down. So currently speaking, his kind of waiting game, early game, is similar to Goldman, a little bit slow, but also at the same time, the more he accumulates, the easier it is when it comes to chase. But there comes with one problem here as well. If we remember my video, if you guys have seen it, I'll put that somewhere in the video or in the comments so you can refer back to it as well. When he backspins, which is changing from cue ball form to human form, there's like a 2-second delay before he can move. and then this gets reduced to maybe 1.5 to 1.25 to 1.5 second when he opens max presence. Now, if you think about it, 2-second delay is actually pretty balanced in one sense, in which the hunter can catch up to you fast, and after he backspins, he gains 20% movement speed boost, 20% interaction boost, attack recovery, pallet breaking, window vault. I think it's overall not too bad, but 2 seconds, 2 whole seconds for you to run away, use your items to pull away even further. Overall speaking, that isn't too bad. You know what, overall speaking, if you think about it, that isn't too bad, because early game for Cueist, his main damage ability is his hitbox, is just him hitting you. It's not like he's a chip hunter or anything. Anything that he has on his hands, he needs to make sure he's within your range to hit you. That's what Cueist is. Right, that's basically what Q is, compared to, you know, Hullablue, who can deal damage to you with his clones, compared to Goldman, who can immediately catch up to you, compared to Ivy, who has teleport stun, and compared to Operation, who can catch up towards you ASAP. For Cueist, for Marcus, it's very different. He needs to catch up to you first, wait for a 2-second cooldown. Yes, he gets movement speed boost and pallet breaking boost, but during that 2-second cooldown, you can either pull away when you need your reflex, vault over another window or a pallet, and then use your item to pull away a little bit further. So you'll have a bit of an easier time. In my opinion, his map control is a bit similar to Wu-Chan. If we're gonna be fully honest with ourselves, he is a bit similar to Wu-Chan, especially with that early game shenanigan too, but without that ambush ability. That's what I think. But then, like, as the game goes on, yes, he gets stronger, but he's definitely someone who needs insolence. If we now go to Presence 1, it's a bit goofy, but you're basically able to throw a cue ball on towards your zone, on towards your line, and then what basically happens is if the survivor are within the radius of that cue ball, they get sucked in, and then you can deploy the survivor 8 meters near you, and then you can hit the survivor. That's basically what his skill does, and that only opens at Presence 1. In one sense, this is really good. Why? Because of the fact that, you know, just in general, survivor rebound capability is very low. However, also at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, you're gonna use the cue ball once when the hunter comes into rescue. But then, like, you know, with the cue ball as well, what I would say is the nice thing about this cue ball is, generally speaking, the fact that it forces the hunter to watch. It actually forces the hunter to no, sorry, not the hunter. It forces the survivors, excuse me, to play a rescuer in the team, or just someone who can get towards the chair ASAP and take that cue ball before they get hit. That's what I would say. So, like, you know, Gravekeeper, First Officer, Aeroplanist, Toy Merchant, Patient, just any of these characters overall, or even a Psychologist who can tank extra hits, can get towards, or even a Perfumer. So, like, realistically speaking, as long as you go into rescue around the 25% mark, you should be able to pull off the rescue 99% of the time, unless you get terror shocked. And, like, his cue ball cooldown is like 20 seconds. Mark me wrong if it's not 20 seconds, but I'm quite sure it is 20 seconds. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, probably 20 seconds, realistically speaking. So there's also that too. So, like, you know, if you use for chair camp, then survivors who's on chair will have a chance of rebound kiting. There's also that too. But, like, well, you know, like, with the chair camp shenanigan that you'll see on screen right now, they will definitely remove this. Don't worry, they will nerf this. It's gonna be like journalist rescue Orphe with, you know, a range within the chair, if, you know, there's that thing there. But, like, it's okay. The cue ball will be nerfed. You don't have to worry about that. There's no way the devs will allow that to be available to use. Just no. But yeah, there's that too. Now let's actually talk about his max presence. When he reaches max presence, he's 10% reduction on cooldown for his cue balls, and of course he converts from cue ball from the human form faster. I think this is nice when he's max presence. I do think it's nicer when it's max presence. But, like, will he be really strong in that case? Yes, probably, considering the fact that he can make really big cue balls and traverse across the map. But it's like very similar when we say a lot of this depends on your early game. Your early game is complete well, it's not complete garbage, but it's bad enough. It's genuinely speaking bad enough. And when you create your zone, survivors can see where you're coming from. So that's already a huge plus for the survivor side if they want to rotate away. Yes, the Cypher Machine, control will be really strong. But like, as long as your Cypher Machine isn't a triple Cypher Machine in a row endgame, I think you're okay. That's just, like, every hunter is really good at camping the last 3 Cypher Machine if they're really close to each other. But what we will probably say is the ones that are the most exceptional ones are probably going to be Cueist that's on the leaderboard. That's going to be Opera Singer that's definitely on that leaderboard. Ivy that's going to be on the leaderboard. Dreamwitch as well. Just overall the huge map control hunters that are going to be really strong on this point. Right? So like, there's that point on his map control too. But like, moving on towards the topic of map control, since we did touch on it as well, I would say what's really good for Cueist is if he has extra cue balls early game, and if the survivor he's chasing is, bypassing another survivor who's decoding a Cypher Machine, then yes, Cueist can put down 3 cue balls, make a closed domain, and force the Cypher Machine to go down by 40%. I think that's good. So like, now what we're saying is, if Cueist has extra cue balls, that's what he can definitely do. But if he doesn't have extra cue balls and he decides to do that, unless you blink ready, then I don't think it's worth it for you to do so. But like, I would say overall his ability to reduce 20% of the Cypher Machine decoding progress is pretty strong. There is a chance they will nerf it, just like how they nerf Postman's ability. There is a huge chance they will nerf it. Don't get me wrong, I don't want it. Well, to be fair, as a hunter main, I do think it probably will be nerfed. When it comes to balance, probably will be nerfed. However, I do think it'll be nerfed after maybe 2 to 3 weeks to a month. For 2 reasons. Reason number 1, we don't know how bad Cueist is early game. That's the first reason. And then reason number 2 is, if Cueist is really that bad early game, then that means that survivors can finish 3 Cypher Machines initially. So like, what I mean by bad is, Cueist either has to use Patroller or Blink to get the first hit, and then get Insolence to open Presence 1, and then use the cue balls to actually land anything on towards the survivors, and then hit them. That's what I mean by bad. But, that's only his early game. What about his mid game? What about his mid game overall? I think his mid game is going to be really strong. There's 2 reasons why his mid game is going to be really strong. Reason number 1 is, when you throw down your cue balls and then you use your ability 1 to put the cue ball on the line, you can still use your, you can still put another point down for the cue balls to bypass. So even if the survivor runs in a different direction, you can redirect it yourself as well. So it's basically very similar to Anne, Disciple and the Herald. So I feel like, in this sense, there's a chance that they will actually increase the cooldown on the cue ball. However, 20 seconds per hit. However, survivors having items to use to kind of dodge the zone of cue ball. However, most survivors now have distance pulling items to use. Most survivors have body blocking items to use. There's a chance that this also won't be nerfed as well. So like, this kind of impacts maybe around 20 to 25% of the survivor pool base. For example, the decoders in general. For example, the decoders in general is one example. The next example is Doctor. It's Thief, who doesn't have movement speed boost. You could consider Magician to be a part of it as well, to be honest with you. There is also a chance that, let me think, Little Girl could be affected by it as well. So like, it's maybe 10 odd survivors out of 40 survivors, so that's like 25% of the hunter survivor pool, that will be affected by it. So there is a chance they will nerf his cue ball if you think about it too. So there will probably be 2 nerfs on cue ball, depending on how hard it is for, for Cueist mains overall to win or to tie. I think to tie is what they're mainly looking at. Winning and losing is just 50-50. Like, for devs, what they're looking at is the tie rate. If the tie rate is good enough, I think it's fine. However, if there's a big disparity between winning and losing, then that's where the devs come in and say what went wrong. That's usually how balance patch devs kind of think about, balancing characters. And I would say Cueist, there's a chance that he's going to receive that breaking wheel treatment where he received 3 nerfs in a row. There's a chance that he will receive the opera singer treatment where she received 3 nerfs in a row. I wouldn't be surprised if Cueist's ability has been increased to 30 seconds, 25 to 30 seconds. Very similar to Dreamwitch, very similar to Ivy, very similar to Opera Singer. Or maybe it's already at 30% and I just misread it. That also could be a chance to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm kind of just half blind sometimes. If I do check it right now, Cue Ball is actually only a 15-second cooldown. So there is also, yeah, they definitely will increase it. Cue Ball is 15-second cooldown. So yeah, there you go on that side note. Is he going to be strong? I'd say so, yes. Definitely yes, he will be strong mid to late game. Is his early game really bad? Not really. Is his game bad? Early game bad? Yes. If it's just bad, I think yes. But if you're gonna say really bad, like, you know, a nightmare early game, I wouldn't say so. But it is definitely really easy to counter him, especially with the fact that you cannot sell up against, you know, you generally speaking can't sell against Cueist. That's also one of the things too. It's very similar to Hermit, right? It's very similar to Hermit. I would say Cueist and Hermit is also is very similar too, except for the fact that Cueist has more mobility than Hermit, but Hermit has more control. Hermit has more stuns. Hermit has more like map control capabilities. As for Cueist is kind of like, okay, I cheer near one of the Survivor Cypher Machine, I'm gonna lock it, and when I lock it, the Cypher Machine decoding progress is gonna go down. And it will definitely go down by 20%, and then by another further 20%. Right, because it's every 30, well no, it will only go down by 20%. If the Cypher Machines are like 85%, Survivor decodes it to 95%, it goes down by 20%. From a 75% Cypher Machine to a 100% Cypher Machine, that's only around 20 seconds, 25 seconds to finish. And like the second 20% deduction is every 37 seconds, so I do think it's only a 20% decrease. It'll just slow it down by a little bit, but that's about it, really. That's honestly speaking about it. So like, you cannot really sell against, you can't sell against Cueist at all. That's just how I feel. So like, what type of hunter is Cueist? Cueist is a hunter that is definitely really bad early game and then slowly becomes stronger mid to late game. Cueist for me will definitely get a nerf on his Q balls. Instead of a 15-second cooldown duration, probably will increase it to 25-second cooldown duration if we're gonna be fully honest. Or there's a chance they'll just do 20 seconds. But like, I do feel like worst case scenario 20 seconds, best case scenario 20 seconds for the cooldown duration for that cue ball. And then his max presence will remain the same, that's 100% for sure. But then his closed domain, when it comes to, you know, reducing the Cypher Machine decoding progress, I do feel like that will be reduced from 20% to maybe 15%. Because like, if they reduced Postman's 20% decoding buff from 20% to 10%, then probably for this hunter it's going to be 20% to 15%. 10% is worst case scenario, but I don't think they'll go down that low. The lowest they'll probably go is maybe 12.5% or even 13%. I'll be fully honest at that point. I don't think it'll go lower than 10%. I'm going to be fully honest. 10% is really unlikely to. It's more or less going to be 50, right? And then the very final and last part of this puzzle really is just, he's a single hit hunter after all, so like, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. But like, oh yes, I just remembered the Twitter video that everyone has seen about Cueist using warp while the survivor is in cue ball form. That will be limited, very similar to journalist Chair Orphe. So don't worry about that overall. But that is my general opinion and, you know, overall analytics on this guy. Do leave a comment down below if you think differently. Maybe you can tell me something I don't know, or inform me, or just rebuttal me in general. I'll be looking around to see if there's anything in general that, you know, piques my mind. But like, he definitely will get nerfs. I don't think he'll get buffs. I generally speaking don't think he'll get buffs. But thank you for watching, and if you made it this far already, thanks for listening to me talk for quite a long time. It's been, I will do this a little bit more regularly, but with a new hunter coming out, it's nice to speak to a camera as well. It's nice to speak to you guys from time to time. But that's it from me. See you on the next one.